Hey guys, per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. So clearly the last trade from yesterday got bulldozed over. Wouldn't have it any other way. Great way to start off this vlog with a bang. So looking at the naked candles here, I was hoping that this spinning top, which closed at the end of last vlog, was going to hold as the bottom, but clearly it has not. It's just been candle after candle of selling, and at the moment we have a tweezer bottom right here, and with 2 hours and 42 minutes to go to close. There's also an inverted hammer trying to form here on this candle, but it's too early to call, obviously. So I'm going to turn everything on, and then if I look at the pitchfork, you can see it's clearly closed a ton of candles outside the fork. We're going to delete it. It's invalidated. I'm going to delete the position that got stopped out. I'm going to delete this. You can see basically the only thing that's holding right now is the horizontal support resistance zone. Yesterday I was talking about how this is never resistance or support. You know, this whole zone, it's always one or the other. It's either resistance or it's support. So right now it's holding. We'll see if it continues to hold. I'm not too optimistic until we see a definite spike down with an exhaustion wick. Volume is certainly declining, which is what you want to see as far as selling is concerned. A weakening of momentum is what that tells me. So that trade from yesterday is punishing me for trying to go early and trying to not listen to my signals, specifically the cloud, which had said everything's bearish. What are you doing trying to long this? It's clearly, according to the cloud, this doesn't look good. I saw this yesterday. I didn't post it, but there's even a head and shoulders here, and at the downtrend, which I've only ever seen a few times. Once was on Oil Weekly. If you look at the Oil Weekly, you'll see a head and shoulders at the bottom of the trend, which is ultra bearish because it just doesn't happen. The volume profile isn't here for head and shoulders, but you can clearly see shoulder, head, shoulder. You usually see head and shoulders at the top, and it's a reversal signal. In this case, and whenever this happens, it's a just bearish continuation signal. This flat Kumo is still there, so this is still going to be a target even when we're days out. 1146, 47 is definitely going to be a zone to come back to later. If I turn on Heikin-Ashi, you can see there's just death, completely no slowing of momentum here based on Heikin-Ashi, which was another reason yesterday that I shouldn't have longed anything. Clearly there was no hope at the time. There may have been one or two of these candles green, but overall I think there were at least 2 or 3 red candles yesterday were telling me not to go long here. If we look at the 5200 cross, you can see that it's clearly not even close to coming back to bullish. There is a EMA strategy I talked about in a video a while back, where it's get ready when it crosses the 200. Get set when the cross happens, the EMA cross happens, and then go would be whenever the 50 or the 200 act as resistance. So again, I wasn't looking at this specifically with Heikin-Ashi and 5200 EMAs, but be creative, folks. Look around and try to figure out, what do you see that other people won't see? So this is one such thing where you're using Heikin-Ashi with EMAs. And you can see how cleanly this is showing you this is resistance. Now Cloud is showing you that as well, just in a different way on the Kijun. This is called the Kijun bounce, in this case a bearish Kijun bounce. And just with normal candles you can see how that looks. It's not as stark with the wicks, but it's certainly there. And these are B-bands, and you can see it's clearly just walking the band down, which is bearish, super bearish, just like walking the band up would be super bullish. And if I had B-band width on here, or %B, which are 2 other additional Bollinger Band analytics, it would show you how additionally bearish this is here. If this holds though, we do have a hidden bull div where we have a lower low in price and a higher RSI. We'll know in 3 or 4 candles, and that'll be confirmed with this tweezer bottom. And if we look at our levels again, we'd be looking at, I don't know why my numbers are all funky like that. We'd be looking at just bouncing up back to this zone somewhere in here. So this whole zone is just going to be bouncy, hopefully, until price makes a decision. If not, we're headed to like 750 easy. And here's some evidence for 750, so I'm not just pulling that out of thin air. So if I take the top to the previous drop, and I use the fib extension here, 1618, you can see that gives us 746, so that's pretty close to 750 there. It's also the bottom of the PBOC sell-off, so another key zone as far as that's concerned. And this was sort of, over here was the falling wedge, or rising wedge that ended up breaking up. This right here, you can see. So this whole zone, let's just add it since I'm not talking about it. And I'll talk about this more when we see things like this, but anytime you have a triangle point, the point is always going to be support or resistance. So any extreme low or extreme high is going to be support or resistance. Any triangle point, and I'll just draw this in so you know what I'm talking about. I was short all the way up here, and then I got bulldozed. So this is the rising wedge, which should have broken down, but just took off. So there's a bigger pitchfork in here from the daily that I'm not going to add to this series anyway, but it's there, so there's support somewhere on here. I do have bids on one broker at 760. I had bids at 960 as well, but those have gotten stopped out at this point too. That wasn't a shared trade. Thank God for all the 7 or less people who are now following me on TradingView. I told people the other day, I'm like, look, I'm going to be taking some risky trades here. If you want to not follow me, that's fine. You know, not following me is probably better than following me at this point. And then lastly, I just want to talk about a possible harmonic here that I haven't drawn out yet. This is assuming this bottom holds. So I had to go to the advanced harmonic patterns here, where we have a second low that's actually lower than the first low. Most of these have a look like this, where it's a low that's higher than the first low. But these do exist as well, so let's just draw that out to see what we get. Alright, so if I draw that out, and the way to read this is 618, 886, and 113 to 127. So if I go 618, 127, I get two extremes as far as the target's concerned, which could be this here. So I'm looking at this number here, 0.62, 127. That gives us a range of 1345 or 1140. 1140 makes a little more sense, but again, you're just waiting till the pattern completes. You can certainly play this down leg if you're super bold with a stop at 856, maybe on 5x leverage or something. So just mark it by here, and 1272 is usually the stop point, depending on the size of the harmonic, for every harmonic in general. 1272 is usually what I play as far as the stop's concerned. So that was mother coin Bitcoin. This is actually the first time looking at the Ethereum chart today, so I'm glad this continued and I made money with the bull flag breakout, at least. Not on any leverage, unfortunately, but it can be seen of as like a hedge, I guess. I don't know. You can see it's reaching for our target, certainly. Interesting, it stopped at the 1.272 fib, and maybe this will give credence to some people that it's worth paying attention to this fib. Additionally, with the 1618 fib, I don't really see the 1272 fib talked about anywhere. Maybe I'm just not looking hard enough. Just like we were talking about, cloud is bullish 100%, TK is bullish above the cloud, cloud's bullish, lagging spans above cloud, above price. You can see the entry we got was really great based on the break of the triangle and the lagging span being back out of price at that point. This was also a B-band breakout-ish. You can see the expansion happened maybe here, here, here. So again, another reason to go long. You can see how this is walking up the bands, similar to how Bitcoin's walking down the bands. And as Bollinger would say, this space in between the bands is where the move goes to die. But while it's out of the bands or in one extreme or the other, that's where the move is happening. You can see here when it gets sort of in between the bands, it's just sort of sideways. But once it takes off, it's always going to be, for the most part, at the bands or outside of the bands. There's definitely an unconfirmed bear div. We're getting a higher high in price, lower low in RSI. There's definitely a tweezer top situation going on here. Again, unconfirmed. Yours waiting for the next candle, so it's kind of lagging because you're waiting for this to confirm, and then really you're waiting for this candle to close as well. So you're kind of one candle out of what you're looking at. Another thing I'm looking at is Stoke, which as long as it's above 80 is good. Again, I'm not an expert in Stoke, talk to Nomad, but the cross down tells me it's not going to just stay bearish forever, bullish forever. So now that we're in a winning trade, I can talk about stops and with fractals and Heikin-Ashi. So you can see again, just like Bitcoin is red, 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 red. Every candle open and closes above the previous here, which is bullish, and converse is bearish. So there's no stop candle yet. A stop candle I'd be looking for would be this, where it's either a red doji or a green doji, something like this here. So if I get that, that tells me momentum's weakening. Be prepared for a flip of the micro trend or the pullback. Just prepare for that, just because momentum is weakening. So what you do is you just wait for that doji, and then you move the stop right below the close of the wick. If I look at yearly pivots, you can see it cleanly broke the yearly, which tells me it's got some momentum again to reach for the next yearly pivot, which is in our zone of take profit up here. So this trade's looking great. I wouldn't even move a stop anywhere necessarily. The other system you could use for stops is the fractal system. It's called Bill Williams Fractals on TradingView. So how this works is if you're in a bull trend, you don't expect to be breaking bearish fractals. And a bearish fractal is a high, low, high. Bullish fractal is low, high, low. Okay, you're expected to break bullish fractals in a bull trend. You're not expected to break bearish fractals in a bull trend. So we haven't even gotten a bear fractal in this whole trend yet. So again, that tells us not to move our stop, not even to use a stop, because there's no reason to on this time frame. You can certainly go down to the hourly and look. I'm going to pretend that all these buttons don't work for this video series, and we're just going to focus on the 4 hour. So just to show you how the fractal stops would work, let's just say we're long somewhere in here. You don't get a stop move up until this fractal. Okay, so that's the horizontal zone. Then you get another fractal here, horizontal zone. Then you get another fractal here, horizontal zone. You don't get another one until here, and then you get another one here, and then so you're stopped out here. That's how that would work. And again, currently nothing. So we're just going to hold this trade until I get a signal. Now this might just dump tomorrow, but the 4 hour tells me leave it alone, just let it go, let it ride, baby. Lastly, if we look at Dash here, like yesterday I was saying, we're waiting for the cross-recross, which kind of happened, but didn't happen convincingly enough. You know, it wasn't like this where it got tested on the cloud and just like this beautiful setup with a flag here. Doesn't look like that here. It just looks like a jumbly mess, bunch of wicks. I'm not a fan. Gonna leave it alone. Again, not gonna enter any trades or place any bids or asks or anything like that. Heikin-Ashi isn't really showing much either, just doji, just no momentum. Now really what I'd be looking for is a break of the previous high before really taking any trades, or just a nice pullback and cross-recross like I keep saying on the cloud, which definitely has some time on it as far as when that could occur. You know, it might drop down here and then pop up again, but nothing right now. I think if anything, a safe bid would be at the 200 EMA would be good. And just because I'm looking at this and seeing this now, there's a nice W here, Adam Eve, below the 200. So again, hindsight, obviously, just something to look for in the future going forward. So that's all I have today. Bitcoin wrecked, ETH doing well, and Dash sit out. Let me know, hit me up in the comments. I haven't replied to yesterday's comments, but I will right now. So hit me up on Twitter, Telegram. Let me know if you like this sort of thing. Let me know if you want me to add any sort of indicator or anything. And happy trading.